welcome to ENN.
Rayro on TV.
Brought to you by our friends at Security Dodge. Go see Michelle Scalisi and
come get some.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off tonight's big ENN by saying good evening to Michael.
Don.
What was that from?
I don't know, but I enjoyed it.
Don.
I'd like to say good evening to myself.
Mets win.
I am currently outdoors. I'd like to say good evening to Michael and the caller.
How often do you see batting practice? I'm curious about that.
Whenever they're away, I watch the batting practice show.
Mets win.
1, 2, 3 inning for Diaz. So
Yay! And for a quick throwback, let's say good evening to Don.
Let me talk to you, Don. Don.
And to Don.
Spit in your face.
That's how you feel, Don. And here we are again, talking about the New York Giants and the spitting of faces.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if that's accurate, but we did start the show. We spent plenty of time on the Malik Nabers number controversy. Malik has now since spoken, guys, about what happened with him procuring the number 1. Let's hear from Malik Nabers. Do you guys have that handy by any chance?
We had a lot of situations dealing with what number I was going to wear. Reached around the locker room, asked about numbers. But I feel like this was the best route that I went. Grateful and thankful to the family for letting me wear this number. I know this number has been worn for, 80 to 90 years. So for me to, be chosen to wear this number, only favor to God, I'm God's child. So he put me in the right position.
Well, you can thank God and Ray Flaherty's family because they approved, and Malik Nabers now will wear number 1 for your New York Football Giants.
89 years specifically, retired in 35.
I have some more information on Ray Flaherty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Please.
He's credited with inventing the screen pass. He was a World War II veteran, served in the Navy, best friends with Bing Crosby, and a Hall of Famer.
Strong. I'd love to hear the conversation, Don, inventing the screen pass. You know what I'm thinking? We keep chucking this thing 30, 40 yards. What if we just, don't? Just go ahead and just throw it a few yards.
It's funny how things are discovered and why they never thought of it before. A sideways pass. Throw everybody off. But again, this is during the time of overtime, playoffs.
No, the best one is the invention of the forward pass. I love that because that's common vernacular, and I love thinking about that. Like, what if there's only one way to throw the ball? Obviously, backwards. What if we threw it forwards? Oh, my God, you psycho. What a lunatic. Forward pass? So
yeah, it's really, it is one of the great upsets of all time that sports survived. When you think of the infancy of sports, on how nobody thought to throw the football. It was a grid, the gridiron. It was a grid. And hockey, you can only move forward after passing the puck backwards. Baseball, when the ball bounced over the fence, they considered it a home run. Right? Didn't the infancy of basketball, they bring out a ladder and get the ball out of the basket?
Yeah, it was a peach basket.
So it's like somebody could have just said, you know what, this is all stupid. Let's not do this anymore. But somebody said, no, let's improve it. But the original ideas were borderline stupid.
Borderline? And, Don, you didn't even mention the fact that they thought, let's put the goalpost on the front of the end zone. Now, what if someone hits it and dies?
Yeah, but again, it was during wartime. People died. A few people might die. Yeah, but we're honoring the goal line. The field's 100 yards. We're not going to count the end zone. So put the goal. But somebody might get decapitated. Hey, you want to play football? It's all right. It's any wonder we survived as people. Now there's a time in the world like you'd attempt to have 10 kids just because you knew 5 weren't going to survive. Like it's a weird. But back in the time, it was a different world. How do we persevere? How do we do it? Because people said we can change.
If I could, you know who said it? The first person to say it. It was Sylvester Stallone. It was Rocky.
when he solved the Cold War.
You can change. We can all change. You know? That was actually the moment, in my opinion. All right. Let's go back in time. This will be fun. Let's go way back, Michael. Tell me if this sounds familiar from WABC.
With the rest of the lineups and his own pregame comments, here is my partner, Michael Kay.
Well, thank you, John. The lineup that Scott Sanderson will face for the Boston Red Sox, of course, every Red Sox.
What in God's name just happened?
What? You don't hear it?
Is that actually what was that, Anthony?
It was John and Michael's first broadcast together. You didn't hear anything?
No.
Are you being serious? Like
Nope.
what you played on your ends, you could hear John Sterling and Michael Kay?
Yeah.
Well, you heard nothing.
No. Well, what I heard was almost as if somebody was being choked out underwater.
Yes.
You guys have been in this business a long time.
Oh, that is crazy. I wonder if the audience heard the choked out garbles or Michael Kay and John Sterling. I don't know.
I heard those garbles. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, my God.
That was interesting.
Yeah, Kofi, our good friend Kofi, dug out the first broadcast. He says on YouTube, which I never kept.
Well, why would you not keep? See, you get mad at me.
That's see, now that's
See,
almost
if that
as
were
crazy.
me, Peter, I'd have it.
But right now,
Don would go too far.
You'd have an extension built on your house for 33 years of broadcast.
But it would have been worth it.
For what?
Because look at now we want to hear it, and all we heard was somebody getting choked out underwater.
Anthony, why didn't we hear that? You heard voices?
Yeah.
Well, something's wrong on your end.
You know what?
On my end?
Yeah.
It might have been on our
Dan Grossa coming up next.
Well, how could it be on our end? I mean, all three of us heard the same thing.
The question is, what did the audience hear?
Hey, I want to know what the audience heard.
Okay,
Because
so-
I'll live through it if the audience actually heard it. Then I guess that's the sacrifice you make.
So I heard the same thing you guys heard. It sounded like static. Like, it didn't sound like complete voices at all. Like, it sounded like a whole radio.
So Anthony
It
is the
sounded like a horror
only
movie.
person who heard it. It's like speaking in one language. He's in the same room as you, Anthony. Jacob didn't hear it.
I had to put it in queue just to hear the actual call.
Nope, everyone heard what we heard. It's like Anthony has a dog whistle. He's the only person who just heard the broadcast.
Yeah, he hears John and Michael.
The tweets are rolling in. So Anthony Perry says it sounded like the first broadcast from the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. Well, maybe I'll visit the site tomorrow.
Right.
Someone else says that, they just heard the underwater.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was gonna say, like, if you visited in Berlin, you would find a puddle with a skeleton in it. Because that person got choked out. Because that's what I heard.
I wish you guys could hear the shows that happened before the show. Like I won't say it on the air. It was a private conversation. Like Michael's takes on my trip to Berlin.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's so many things that happen, guys, off the air that are just so show-worthy, but also not. Let's hear from. Let's go to the Jet side for a moment and hear from Joe Douglas on his thoughts on this Jets.
I wish this is garbled.
When things did hit the fan last year, I think one of the more encouraging
I don't hear
things
anything.
was
What are you
how
guys talking
the
about?
team stayed together and how hard the team played. There was never wavering of effort or togetherness, and I thought that was one of the silver linings of a difficult season. But as the team stands now, I feel like this has been a remarkable training camp, and I feel like this is a great collection of talent and character, as good of a collection of people as I've been around in 24 years. And so really I'm excited about this journey. I have no idea where it's going to end, but I think this is a great group to lock arms and travel with.
You know, at least I have been pretty critical. You know, he picked Zach Wilson. You know, he had that one great draft with Garrett Wilson and Sauce. I get that. But this roster is a really good roster of football. He's put together a really good roster. So now we see. Now we see if they can perform. You can't knock him for the roster that he's put together.
Honestly, because we all know the history of the Jets, and if you want to be right, the way to bet is it's going to go sideways, because that's what happens with this organization all the time. But if this is any other team in football, I think most people would feel like they're right there to win a championship. I think the only thing standing in their way is the respect I have for a very, very difficult AFC. But when you look at the talent assembled, they've got an outstanding chance to make a run at this thing. They do. I mean, they've had a great camp. Everything looks, really, honestly, even with the holdout, I mean, everything really is pointing towards that. It just, people are hesitant to do it because there's certain teams, right? If it's the Jets, if it's the Knicks, of course it's going to go sideways because it always seems to. But put that aside. You could have said the same thing about the Patriots before they won, or the Saints before they won. You know, maybe it's just time. Maybe this is the year they finally figured it out. And you just had to go through one last painful moment last year before it was finally all going to come together. Why can't that be right?
Now, if you want to go to the other side of audio that makes you want to absolutely off yourself from the New York Jets, let's hear from Joe Douglas attempting to discuss what's going on with Hassan Reddick. How about that one? It's not what you want, by the way. There's a series of them that we could play. Really, all of them are the exact same.
I think just play me and John again.
Wait, you're not hearing that one either? What is going on?
Let's talk about respect. That's the name of the game when it comes to
I re-put this audio back in. You want to try it again? Maybe we'll get 1945.
Oh, the John and Michael audio?
Yeah, why not?
Joe Douglas?
All right, let's hear that then. Let's hear that then first. John and Michael. Now, is that serious? Are you being serious or is it a joke?
I literally reinserted it, and I hear it fine.
Wow.
Yep. Nope.
Kicking and screaming. Might have a chance to survive. Nope, dead.
Sorry, Kobe, I
Vegan
did my
Fred,
best for
what
you, buddy.
Nicky said, his dog Rocket perked up the moment that clip was played. He heard everything. Joey High Roller said it sounded like a number station from the Soviet Union. David Amandi said 100% someone getting choked out while gargling. Good job, man.
Yes says they heard it.
Yes is hearing it?
Yes,
Yeah.
is all right. Well, it's nice. The very select
Michael,
few.
Kofi sent it to you. Did you listen?
I didn't listen. I hate to listen to myself.
No,
Well,
really? Even something as a proud moment like that?
Well, I mean, it wasn't my finest broadcasting.
Well, because it was
listen,
your first.
But Don, you know Michael's lying when he says he doesn't like himself. Come on.
Well, you know, when I first started doing when I first started doing Rangers, I started calling play-by-play guys to get advice, and one of the guys I called was Bob Wischusen, and Bob said, "Whatever you do, under no circumstances, listen back to the first broadcast. Don't do it." And I never did.
But you still have
Because
the
he's like,
the tape.
I still have it. I
you
can if I want, and maybe it'll be fun to do. But he's like, because he goes, it's not going to be great to you. But then it's
I'm
just going to get better.
shocked that Wischusen told you that. This is a guy who listens to his voice constantly, even when he's not talking.
You know what? Why do you always have to?
Because it's true. We're going to have on Bob next week, but really, Bob loves the sound of Bob.
I think he loves the sound of his voice, but I think he wants it to make sense and all. I mean, no, I think it was very good advice because you could lose your confidence because your first one's never going to be your best one, especially if you've never done it before. But I would think after all these years and all these Emmys and everything that you've accomplished in your life, just for blank and giggles, you'd go back and listen to the first one.
Obviously, the gods of broadcasting don't want it to happen. I'm hearing gargling when they play it.
Listen, I agree. I mean, I don't know if it's gods of broadcasting or just our current state, but you should want to hear it.
Let's hear something that actually has audio quality, and by that I mean the actual physical qualities of auditory.
Well, someone sent me what Yes played the first time. I can't hear that either, so I don't know how I'm hearing something that you guys aren't. But
I'm just telling you.
I think we stop playing it and never speak of it again.
Yeah, I'd like for us to move on.
But never mind us, the audience. The 98.7 audience heard what we heard.
I'd rather do 2 more interviews with people who are being forced to leave our radio station than
honestly,
listen to that non-existent audio again.
You could make the case
Yeah.
that since 4:45,
It's gone downhill.
this has been the most awkward radio I've ever been involved in. And believe me, I've worked here on Tuesday will be 23 years. And awkward's the
And
title
I
of the
believe
book.
it was during this week, Don, that you and I did a show at the U.S. Open where the tent blew out onto the railroad tracks and we almost got killed, and then we had to do it in a Hummer.
Yes.
Yeah, the show, I mean.
That was a Met game because we weren't allowed on the premises.
Oh, yeah.
We had to be out on that wooden plank.
The walkway to
from
the U.S. Open.
LIRR. Yeah, and we almost died. Not from the thing falling, but the electrical storm that was going on through all the electronics.
That's not hyperbole. We did almost die.
And so we actually, and I had to be longer because Michael had to leave early to go do the game, but actually doing the show from the back of a Hummer. Believe me, that was Marconi-worthy compared to what we've gone through since 4:45 from an awkward standpoint.
Now, I think we actually will have audio of Joe Douglas.
I doubt it.
Talking about
Not the way to bet.
Hassan Reddick.
Nothing's changed from our end. Obviously, a ton of respect first on, and awaiting his arrival, and looking forward to when he does. He's going to be welcomed with open arms.
Of all the things that we had to hear, that had to come through.
No, it's about respect, Michael.
So you're afraid to defend it? Guy, he's not honoring his contract.
No,
You've been in fierce negotiations with this guy. It's not working out, but don't insult him.
I respect him.
See, that's why I could never be a GM, because I'd be like you right now, Don. I'd go, this guy's a hack.
Well,
he backed out on his contract.
But can't you just honor that? Listen, this is not good. We've traded for a guy. He's not honoring his contract. We hope it gets done. We love him as a player. Otherwise, we wouldn't have traded for him. But this is not good.
But again, that goes to my theory that we just don't get truth. There's just we don't. That's why hearing from most athletes and executives, it's a waste of breath.
I don't think the phrase goes, "The lie will set you free." The truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free. I like that as a potential drop. I'd like to say it right now. Dak Prescott has spoken. He says there's no deadline on talks with the Cowboys, but the fact that there's no deal, quote, says a lot.
So he can be honest.
You know what? Dak has been pretty honest.
I thought we had
so
a clip
far.
there. No clip?
No clip.
So it was
no
just
clip.
you. Oh, okay.
He says, I think it says a lot if it is or isn't finished.
I'll get over it. You've already pocketed almost $150 million.
I know, but I love the honesty.
Well, what does it say? Don't tell me it says something. What does it say? Does it say Jerry Jones hates you? Does it say that they don't think you're a good quarterback? What does it say, Dak?
No. That, you know what? Now you're being that guy because you may think he has nothing to complain about, but Don, it does say something. You don't. Patrick Mahomes is never getting within a sniff of might leave. They're saying we're not quite sure yet about whether you're the guy. And by the way, a lot of people believe that they're not sure if Dak's the guy.
And that's fine.
He knows what it says.
It's not like he's been making, minimum wage. He's done very, very well. And if the Cowboys want to wait, and if he's as good as he thinks he is, he'll get it from somebody else, or he'll get it from the Cowboys.
Right.
I don't disagree with you, but those things aren't mutually exclusive. It still says something.
Yeah, and he's going to play, and he's got a chance to shut him up.
And he's there. It's not like he's not showing up.
Somebody has to get ball is CD Lamb.
That's right.
Hey, did you see what Steph Curry got? You haven't even mentioned that.
I was going to say, speaking of some cash dollars, don't look for Steph Curry at the soup kitchen anytime soon. The Warriors extended him a year for $62 million. Now, guys, I don't know if you've seen this. This comes on the heels of like a couple of weird posts on social media, like an Instagram story where Steph Curry said, "Hey, LeBron, stop sending me pictures like this." And it was a picture of him in a Lakers uniform. People have started to maybe see, could there be a future in which Steph doesn't close out as a Warrior? It's just a one-year extension, but at least for this year, $62 million to play in the Bay.
But that assures him 3 more years at about $60 million a year. It's like 3 years, $170.
And 60 plus. I think Tatum eventually will get to 60, but that's later in the extension. So he is.
So it probably means wouldn't that mean if it's 3 years from now that's the end?
You would think so. And also, I think that somewhere in Southern California, Scott Boras is gleefully rubbing his hands and go, okay, that's where we start for Soto.
And be honest, Michael, if that's the case, do you think the Yankees are going 60
They could.
A year?
They could. I mean, I don't know. They could.
It's just crazy, right? No offense to Curry, but like, God.
Now, he doesn't seem as if he's slowed down at all, but 3 years from now, what is he, a 38-year-old player?
Yeah.
He's 36 now.
So he's 39 in 3 years. See how I did that math so quickly?
That was so
You got a brand new building, right? And they're not, they don't look like they're on their way to winning a championship again. But it keeps them relevant, having one of the best players in the game, be a forever Warrior. That probably has value there.
Should have been a Nick.
So in 28, Jason Tatum's money will surpass him. But by then, that probably won't be the most money.
Yeah, there'll already be somebody making 70 by then, right?
Speaking of setting records, Indiana's the Fever's Caitlin Clark has broken the WNBA record for three-pointers in a season.
By rookie.
Holy crap.
I'm sorry, WNBA rookie record for three-pointers.
Come on, know your records.
Thank you very much. Nuts, please. And an 84-80 victory over Connecticut, who is second in the league.
Now, this was the worst team in the NBA, in the WNBA last year. That's how they got the pick, right? And I think they're like around 500.
Yes, and after a real bad start, too.
Yeah, no, it went from early on, you thought this team was in the absolute toilet. Started the season 1-8. Looked like they could finish last. Now they're in the 7th spot. And as of this moment, guys, you would have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese both making the playoffs. The Fever at the 7th spot, Chicago at the 8th. And, of course, your New York Liberty at 26-6, the best team in the league.
This is a championship on the horizon.
I don't know if you guys saw this come down the pike today, but Netflix announced the release of Mr. McMahon.
I did see this. Yeah.
A documentary series chronicling the rise and fall of Vince McMahon. It's coming to Netflix on September 25th from producers Chris Smith and Bill Simmons. Chris Smith did Tiger King. Bill Simmons of writing incredibly long articles fame. I know people who worked on this film. They interviewed a ton of people, including hours and hours with Vince McMahon. And obviously, of course, over the years that they were making this, it started in 2018. The stories that came later unfolded as they were making it. And those stories are now rolled into this film as well. It's 6 episodes starting on September 25th.
Did they interview you?
No.
Then I don't.
Then I'm out.
No interest.
No, I'm out.
I'm good.
Man was traveling to Germany for that company. I got to hear from you.
If the only way I'd watch it if you or my brother's interviewed. If not, I'm out.
Yeah, is your brother?
Listen, maybe your brother made the cut. Although this is a different kind of doc relative to the kinds that me and your brother pop up in a lot. Obviously, different producers, different network. Tone is very serious. But I know that they sat down with the family. The biggest superstars are in it. It should be something.
And I don't know if you saw that they announced there's going to be a 30 for 30 for the New York Sack Exchange.
I did see that, too.
You want to talk about someone who should be interviewed in a movie, Don? It's you. It's you in that movie.
Well, I introduced them when they were honored at the Jet Bronco game. I was on the field for that. I was your MC.
How did you wrest that from Wischusen?
I don't know.
Usually he lets you do the first minute of the third quarter.
No, the decision was that I had to do it, and I did it. And you helped me through it, Michael, because you told me don't get crazy when you start hearing your voice back, because you have done it before as a veteran of the old-timers day and all the different ceremonies at Yankee Stadium. So I appreciate it. Thank you. That was 21 years ago, believe it.
Wow.
Whoa. You were a child.
Yeah, 03.
He was prepubescent.
And that was in the beginning of Repugdon.
Imagine that Repugdon on the field, Peter.
Oh no.
They tried to slap a uniform on him and make him a center. I mean, really, it was not good.
Oh, my God.
Let's relax there, but, he's not wrong. It's rude, but not wrong.
By the way, that's the name of Michael's 21st book. Rude, but not wrong. Michael K.
It's going to be good.
Is there no worse mic situation? Because I've never... Actually, I did once do stuff on... I did once do stuff on a mic in a baseball stadium, and it was pretty annoying. But is that the worst, Michael, to bounce back?
Well, I mean, the new stadium, it's completely different. The old stadium, it was really tough. Now they figured it out. They have different speakers around the ballpark, but just one big speaker in center field, it would come back at you 5 seconds after you said it.
Speaking of really tough, let's wrap this show up. That'll do it for the K Show and ENN. Brought to you by our friends at Security Dodge. Go enjoy Make this the summer event.